And the driver emailed her.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Lunenburg Select Board. Today is Tuesday, November 25th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel, on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page, and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. We're going to begin tonight with announcements, and the only one that I have prepared is that the annual tree lighting event is going to be on next Thursday, December 4th at 6 p.m. It is that time of the year again for a celebration of caroling, candy canes, and community tradition. The event is going to be at the Town Gazebo, again, next Thursday at 6 p.m. So if you are available, you should come down and celebrate with Santa and community. All right, any public comments from the public this evening? Mrs. Liscio, come on up.
Sorry. Rhonda Lucio, 181 Reservoir Road. I just wanted to comment on the public hearing for the Finance Committee. I was the only member of the public to attend the Finance Committee public hearing for the warrant articles for last week's special town meeting. For all of those who were not in attendance, I would like to provide a breakdown of the charade. When I arrived at Town Hall, the door was locked. I stood with Finance Committee members waiting to gain entry to the building. The door was automatically locking whenever closed. I warned that we either needed to figure out how to unlock it or prop it open in order to proceed with the meeting. The PAC employee let us in and was able to unlock the handle. Once upstairs, I noticed there was not a single sponsor to answer questions on a single warrant article. The only sponsor to earn an excused absence, in my mind, was the planning board. Its chair and board had already provided ample opportunity for public input and questions during its public hearings and forums on its warrant articles. I have attended numerous Finance Committee public hearings in the past. This was the first time I did not see a single select board member in attendance. It was the poorest excuse for a public hearing I have ever attended. I am angry with myself for participating in it. My participation may have misled others into believing the public hearing had some degree of legitimacy when it did not. I was the only person in this town foolish enough to expect I could ask questions and receive answers at a public hearing. I think this board should be thanking its lucky stars it was able to pass as many articles as it did, with the non-existent efforts focused on scheduling, planning, and the logistics of the so-called public hearing on the warrant articles. Thank you.
Thank you,
and happy
Rhonda.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Rhonda. All right, any other public comments from the public? Anyone on Zoom?
Yes, go ahead. Hello?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Rogers.
it's a beautiful day in my neighborhood. Thank you. I have a whole host of different things to talk over, but I'm going to be very sensitive to the way we have to talk.
Okay,
So
can you just start
I
with your
want-
name and address?
Sure. My name is David W. Rogers, and I live at 82 Highland Street. Okay?
Yep, go ahead.
All right. So I watched last night with the meeting that was going on, and Tri-Board, yeah, that's what it was. And it was interesting. The discussion really was around, what are we going to do for the future and this and that. And the thing I'm going to talk to you real quick about is a request to the Board of Selectmen to get in touch with the folks that do the audit for the town, and to ask them how the charges for Fitchburg were not picked up over 7 or 9 years, and depending upon what kind of a response you get, we could either say we don't need their services, or come up with some kind of a way so that this wouldn't happen again, because it's very embarrassing. Some people in town, I've heard, say, well, we shouldn't even pay Fitchburg. I don't think that that's possible. They're our neighbor, and, I would hope that we wouldn't do something like that. The other general concern I have is the way our accounting is supervised. To me, there's some real holes in the process. So I think that one of the things we have to do is to tighten that up so that we won't have these embarrassments again. So as the budget season starts and progresses, I think that we really should figure out how we can put some safeguards in so that this won't happen again. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Okay, any other public comments from the public? All right, not seeing any other public. All right, moving on, and the only thing on the agenda tonight is our tax classification hearing, which is... Oh, is there any public comment from the board? Sorry, forgot about you guys.
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the tax classification hearing. That's when the select board decides if the town is going to have a single or a split tax rate and whether or not we're going to adopt some other exemptions. So we have our principal assessor, Linda Chaika, here tonight for a presentation. And this is a public hearing, so I'll ask the clerk to read the public hearing notice.
7:05 p.m., public hearing, the tax classification hearing. Oh, sorry.
You're supposed to have a public.
Yeah, I do have it underneath.
Okay.
Public hearing notice pursuant to Chapter 40, Section 56 of Mass General Law, the Lunenburg Select Board will hold a public hearing on Tuesday evening, November 25th, 2025 at 7:05 p.m. in the Bellata Meeting Room at Town Hall, 17 Main Street, Lunenburg, Massachusetts. The purpose of the hearing is to determine the percentage of the local tax levy to be borne by each class of real property. The hearing will include a presentation by the Board of Assessors outlining the options available under Chapter 40, Section 56 of the Massachusetts General Laws. The public is welcome to attend, posted to Town of Lunenburg website on November 4th, 2025.
All right, thank you. Over to you, Linda.
Good evening. My name is Linda Chaika. I'm the principal assessor, and I am here tonight to present the fiscal 2026 tax classification hearing.
We're getting feedback.
And the purpose
Yeah,
of...
we're getting an echo. To the booth, we're getting an echo.
So the purpose of the tax classification hearing is to determine a residential factor. Residential factor of 1 is a single tax rate or a split tax rate, and I'm going to ask the select board to actually to vote on this and also decide to adopt on a residential exemption, an open space discount, and a small commercial exemption. We have 5 classes of property per the Department of Revenue. First one is residential, open space, commercial, industrial, and personal property. There is no open space classification of property in Lunenburg that's designated by the Department of Revenue. I have some commonly used terms For reference for tonight's presentation, I'm going to just reference some of them that will be used frequently. The first one being the assessed value. That is the fair cash value placed on a property for tax purposes, and it's determined by documented sales in Lunenburg. We did use fiscal 2024 sales, or I should say calendar 2024 sales for fiscal 2026. Our tax levy is the total amount of money the town is able to raise through property taxes each year. Our tax rate is the amount per thousand of the assessed value, and it's used to calculate a property tax bill. And classification is how property is grouped for tax purposes, whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, or personal property. I have another set of terms that will also be mentioned during this presentation. New growth are additions to tax base from new construction and property improvements, and this allows the levy to be increased to cover additional services resulting from new construction. New growth is not just new construction, it also consists of adding decks, porches, finished basements, other additions that add to the value of a property. The levy limit, I have a table later on in this presentation, but the definition of it is the maximum dollar amount a town can raise in a fiscal year, and it's calculated by taking the prior year's levy. We add 2.5%, we add new growth, and then debt exclusion. Debt exclusion is like a capital improvement. Excess levy capacity is the difference between the levy and the levy limit, and a debt exclusion is a temporary increase to the levy to pay for capital projects as voted. CIP and CIP shift. CIP are classes that include commercial, industrial, and personal property, and the CIP shift is a factor determined by the select board if it's going to be a shift of the tax burden to the CIP classes. The role of the assessors and who determines the tax rate. The role of the Board of Assessors is to value property for the purposes of equitable taxation based upon fair market value by what sales have taken place in the prior calendar year. And for fiscal 2026 valuations, they were based on calendar year 2024 sales, and calendar 2023 sales were also utilized when classes of property had limited sales. This is done in accordance with state guidelines and reviewed by the Massachusetts Department of Revenue. The Board of Assessors does not set the tax rate. Residents who attend annual town meeting decide on what services the town of Lunenburg provides, and this determines how much the town will spend. These decisions impact the tax rate. The tax rate is determined each year by the levy and the real and personal property total values. There's a formula that's on the left-hand side that actually demonstrates that. The next chart is our fiscal year 2026 real and personal property values. For fiscal 2026, the assessed value for the town was $2,437,942,740. And as you can see from the chart, 91% is residential, 4% is commercial, 2% industrial, and 3% is personal property. Our fiscal 2026 valuation summary is, this table has the classes, the valuation, and the percentages that were just shown in the prior slide. Our fiscal 2025 total value was $2,360,706,780. From this year's valuation, there's a change of 3.3%, an increase. Our average single-family value for fiscal 2026 is $517,296. Fiscal year average single-family for 2025 was $504,927. So there was an increase over the past year of 2.4%. The average commercial and industrial value for fiscal 2026 is $449,158. For fiscal 2025, it was $435,910. And that's a 3% increase. I did want to mention that this number for fiscal 2026 actually does include chapter land, so that actually is bringing the number down. And chapter land is classified as commercial property by the Department of Revenue. The next chart has our fiscal 2026 valuation percentages. Just shows over the past 6 years. And the CIP is in maroon, the residential is in the blue. So as you can see, it's been kind of consistent, dropping 1% over the years, 91% residential this year and 9% CIP. The next slide is the fiscal 2026 tax levy summary. As I mentioned in the definition earlier, what we do is we take last year's levy limit, which was $31,602,108. We add the 2.5% to that, which totals $790,053. Our new growth for fiscal 2026 was $518,650. We add our debt exclusions, which is $2,213,678, which are capital projects. There was no override. Our fiscal 2026 maximum allowable tax levy is $35,124,489. And our excess levy capacity, we subtract that because we're not going to utilize that. That's $42,493, which gives us our fiscal year 2026 tax levy of $35,081,996. The summary in comparison to last year, the tax levy was $33,899,749, and the change between this year and last year is a change of $1,842,247. That's an increase of 3.5%. So our estimated fiscal 2026 single tax rate is projected to be $14.39. Again, we take our fiscal 2026 tax levy of $35,081,996. We divide that by our total valuation of $2,437,942,740. We multiply it by 1,000, and that gives us the $14.39 if it's a single rate that the Select Board adopts. Last year was a single rate of $14.36 per 1,000, and that would be a change of 0.21% or 3 cents per 1,000 increase. The average single-family tax bill, based on the average single-family home of $517,296, would be $7,443.89. And again, that would be at the estimated tax rate of $14.39 per 1,000. This is an increase of $192.99 over the last year's average single-family tax bill, which was $7,250.89. And again, that had an assessed value last year of $504,937. My next slide actually shows the fiscal 2026 estimated tax rates. And if we did decide to split the tax rate, how that would impact Lunenburg. And as you can see in this chart, a CIP shift of 1 means there's no change between the residential factor or the residential tax rate and the commercial tax rate, which stays the same. But as you move down the chart, if you drop to the next line, if we shift that to a 1.15 or a residential factor of 0.9857, the residential tax rate decreases to $14.80. The commercial tax rate increases to $16.55 per 1,000. And our maximum shift of 1.50, if you look at that last line, if we shift that tax rate to a residential factor of 0.9523, our residential tax rate drops to $13.70. For a single-family home of $350,000, it would be $4,452.50. The difference of that for a $350,000 home is only a $224.25 decrease. But if you look at the same value for a commercial property, the commercial tax rate would increase to $21.58. The total tax bill would be $7,013.50, which would be a $2,300.3675 increase. So the implication to the commercial, industrial, and personal property classes is a very large tax bill, and it would discourage businesses from staying in town and also not encourage new businesses to come to Lunenburg. We have a total of 351 communities in Massachusetts that have split tax rates. Of these 351, 112 would have, as I said, split tax rates. Only 7 of these have a CIP of 10% or less. So they're mostly wealthy communities such as Lincoln, Milton, Sudbury, Reading, Gloucester, Melrose, and Stockbridge. So considering that we have under 10%, it doesn't make sense for us to split the tax rate. And the next slide is our tax rate history. So again, it would be an estimated tax rate if it was a single rate of $14.39. Last year's was $14.36. And then I just wanted to go over the 3 exemptions, discounts that I would like to select board to also vote on tonight. The first one is the residential exemption, and this exemption actually shifts the tax burden with the residential class from owners of moderately valued residential homes to homes of higher residential values and non-owner occupied residences, including apartments and vacant lands. The select board may adopt a discount of up to 35% of the average residential valuation. And if this was adopted, the residential exemption would increase the residential tax rate. The higher rate actually creates a shift and reduces the taxes paid by homeowners with moderately valued properties. But then the shift of the taxes is then paid by owners of rental homes, vacation homes, and higher valued homes. It's not really recommended for Lunenburg because it's ideal in cities that are larger and have many non-owner occupied properties, like with apartment buildings such as Boston, Cambridge, Brookline, and Somerville. And also for communities such as the Cape that have a lot of seasonal residents, such as Barnstable, Nantucket, Provincetown, Wellfleet, just to name a few. And to date, there's currently has not been a residential exemption in Lunenburg. The next one is the open space discount. There's currently no designated open space, or what's referred to as Class 2 property in Lunenburg, so this discount doesn't apply, but we do offer discounts to landowners such as the chapter land programs, 61A and 61B. And the next exemption is a small commercial exemption. And the select board may adopt an exemption of up to 10% of the value of eligible parcels. And this is really designed to provide tax relief for small businesses that own real estate only. Least small businesses do not receive this tax benefit, and every small business that does not qualify would pay a higher tax rate. The tax burden is shifted within the commercial industrial class, and eligible properties to qualify for this must be included on a list provided annually to the assessors by the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. Another criteria is that they must have a valuation of less than $1 million and an average annual employment of 10 or fewer employees. And Lunenburg has not adopted the small commercial exemption to date, just because of we're under the 10%. As far as the recommendation by the Board of Assessors, the Board of Assessors recommends a single tax rate, and they do not recommend adopting a residential exemption, an open space discount, and a small commercial exemption. And that is it for my presentation. I wanted to thank you all, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
All right, thank you so much, Linda. So this is a public hearing, so we're going to start with questions from the board, and then I'll open it up to the public, and then after that, we will discuss and vote. So are there any questions from board members?
Nope.
All right, pretty straightforward. Anyone from the public want to speak on this? Okay, I do see Mr. Bowen on Zoom.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Can everybody hear me okay? It's John Bowen, 162 Highland Street.
Yep, we can hear you.
Good. I'm actually, last year I said the same thing. Split tax rates are going to be good for the community. If you look at the numbers she said, commercial properties will be paying $21 per thousand as opposed to dropping the residents down by about 60 cents per thousand. And I believe that at town meeting, did not we pass a deferral for persons in need, that they don't have to pay taxes on their property deferred? And that's deferred until their death or something. And I don't see anything in this presentation that's going to supplement any money to be able to pay for that over the period of time that that money's not being collected. So it is a concern that I have. I think that could be supplemented by increasing the split tax rate. I grew up in Melrose. Melrose doesn't have a lot of commercial properties. They got in a couple of industrial parks. They don't have a lot of businesses except for in downtown Main Street. They're pretty much so a very large residential community. Their comparison to population to us, I believe their population is higher than ours. I believe they're very close to Boston as well, which keeps them a suburb of about a 20-minute drive with no traffic, a 40-minute drive with traffic, where we're a little bit different in demographics to that town. And that's just my just my comments about utilizing that as a particular town. I know Catherine Clark, who is a representative from Massachusetts. I actually grew up there and actually was involved in politics here in Massachusetts from that town. And I know her, and I know she had made arguments with regard to the tax rate in that community in her time there, that the split tax rate does work. And the split tax rate, what it does is it offsets services for the people in town. And I know the senior center needs some services, which benefit the people. And I think that the offset in the tax rate will be able to benefit and help some other payments, things like that, like maybe paying for a parking lot instead of taking a capital plan expense or any other kind of expense. I mean, there's a lot of money there in a $10 increase to commercial buildings in town that would be able to benefit the community as a whole. And if you're a commercial business and you want to be in this community, but you don't want to participate a little extra in the community, then you should move somewhere else. And I heard Fitchburg's looking. So Fitchburg has an awful lot of commercial space that they could move into. And they wouldn't be that far from people in Lunenburg to be able to buy in their business. Just my comments and just my concerns. If anybody wants to comment on my comment, I would like to hear it. But I think that a split tax rate is absolutely necessary, and I think it does benefit the community.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bowen. Anyone else from the public? All right, I'm not seeing anyone. All right, last chance. Any other questions from the board? For Linda?
I was interested in Linda's response to the public comment.
Oh, sure.
As I mentioned in the slide that had the split tax rate, you can just see the difference in the tax rate from the residential versus the commercial. We have under 10% commercial valuation in this town. If we increase their tax rate even to $20 per thousand, it's going to cripple some of these small businesses and drive them out of town. And I don't think we want to do that. We do want to have some business here. And for the $224 that it would save the residential, it's going to penalize the commercial by $2,300 if we did the maximum shift. So that's just my comment.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously, and the public hearing is now closed. So now we can decide if we prefer a single or split tax rate. Where's the board on this?
I concur with Linda's proposals.
Yeah, I also think single, and Last year at the Budget Task Force, Linda presented, and we questioned the single and split, came to the same conclusion.
I would agree with the principal assessor. I also agree with Select Board Member Emke, too. In the Budget Task Force, I had watched those meetings, and they talked about how we really need to increase the commercial base before we even consider splitting the tax rate.
I also agree.
Yep.
I also agree on the exemptions, by the way.
Yep, that was my next
Or
question.
the opinion of-
I'm in agreement as well, and on the exemptions, are we in agreement with the recommendation here?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
Okay.
one of the things that at least I've constantly heard is how hard it is for small businesses or for businesses to come into Lunenburg, and if we want to grow that, I think we need to, before we even consider a shift like this, we need to work on that.
For sure. Excuse me. All right, any other discussion from the board? Okay, so I will move that we adopt a single tax rate for all classes of property in the town of Lunenburg, and that we do not adopt a residential exemption, an open space discount, or a small commercial exemption.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion passes unanimously. All right, thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Excellent. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yes, you too. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
You
Thanksgiving.
too, happy Thanksgiving. All right, we have some warrants. We have an accounts payable warrant in the amount of $479,658.86. I'll ask for action items while that's going down. Anyone have any action items? Okay. All right, so that's making its way down, and that was it on our agenda tonight. So I'm going to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you all next week. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:33 PM.
Second?
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously.